fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
This plus this equals anything you want in life. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, Salt Strong Unchurched. We are back again, and yours truly is just back from an amazing trip from the Bahamas, and that ties in with this incredible story I'm about to share with you. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Salt Strong co-founder of the Bahamas must have been a fishing trip. No. We did no fishing at all. We did some boating and some cruising, but there was no fishing. I was there to celebrate my buddy's 40th birthday, who happened to just sell his company for a couple of $1 billion. Yes, like $2.2 billion. And so he was the co-founder from day one. He and his buddy started this thing, and just the two of them. I mean, literally just the two of them in a garage kind of a story. And now, 11 years later, so sold it for $2.2 billion. And here's where it gets interesting, and where this whole story comes from with the Salt Strong Unchurched is we were there to celebrate his birthday, and the fact he, just a couple months ago sold it for a couple $1 billion. He also invited a lot of his friends in that side of his life. Obviously, he's got us friends who are the non-billionaires, and then he's got some friends just from that whole tech industry who are young, people that you might have heard about or read about. In fact, one guy who was at this 4-day party with us in the Bahamas, he is going to be on the cover of Forbes here in the next few months. Not just like a featured article. He is the cover of Forbes. His company is worth a whole lot more than $2 billion, let's just say. And I'm getting to spend time with these people. That was the coolest part. It was very fascinating. I think I went in a little bit intimidated, I'll be honest. Even though I think we know deep down celebrities or people like that running, multi-billion-dollar companies, we think they're not human and they're different. They're just like us. They are humans. They do have the this plus this I'm going to share with you that kind of helps them get anything they want in life a little bit better. But they're normal people. And because of that, it was so cool that they were completely normal. I know there's people that have egos, but these people did not. I'm not going to name names or what companies, but I would just say they were truly amazing. Not just amazing, absolutely amazing, and so interested in Salt Strong and what we're doing, and asked just such good questions and just great conversationalists. And I didn't just get to meet them, on the outside, meaning like it wasn't like a 10-minute conversation. We spent 4 days with these people. I mean, one day we're out on a 60-some foot catamaran boat that we chartered all day long. I mean, we're spending hours and hours a day for 4 days with these people. And I got to learn a lot, which is really, really cool. I mean, I'm always curious. All right, how do you do that? And I want to be very clear. My goal is not to make $1 billion. I want to make an impact. And I could tell these people are making an impact. I believe God called me to start a company, to build this community of fishermen, to, do what I'm doing right now, right, is to make fishers of men and to expand his kingdom and to make a massive impact. And a lot of these people were doing that. In fact, my buddy Kyle, you might be thinking, oh, these are just tech people, and these are not the Zuckerbergs, right? I mean, he's worth hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. That's the next level. These are the ones that you don't hear about as much, but you might hear about them. And it was odd that, I think the vast majority of them were Christians. And I know my buddy Kyle has been up on stage talking about Christianity, even though he runs a tech company, with 800 employees. Many of these employees, what we would consider the young hipsters and young millennial hipsters who were not going to church and really want nothing to do with Christianity. And he's wide open and very transparent about his faith and what he believes, and he's made a massive impact because of it. So I'm sitting here trying to learn from these, let's just call them young billionaires. How did you get all of this stuff? None of them came from money. None of them had a silver spoon in their mouth. That was really, really interesting, right? That not a single one of them were given this money. Every one of them started something. They created a product or service from scratch and grew it into something really, really big. And there was really two overlapping things that came up from every one of them. And they were asking me these same questions. And the first one was vision. That was it. It was vision. It's having a vision of where you're going. Even my buddy Kyle, we all got up and did some toast, and his one buddy who's known him since they were young, and been one of his best, friends from childhood. He's like, I remember the day Kyle started the company. I remember that first year of just him and his business partner there. And, he had these just wild visions, and he literally said the words, I'm going to turn this into $1 billion company. And people laughed at him, right? But he had this vision and he didn't give up. And he's like, you guys can laugh all you want. He knew it. He firmly believed that he was going to have $1 billion company. He was going to be able to give away all this money, and he's going to be able to make this massive impact, all this stuff he's literally doing as we speak. And it was wild how clear his vision was even back then, 11 years ago. Every other one of these CEOs and these really kind of leaders that I met here on this trip all had that similar trait, is they had a massive vision, and not just massive, super clear, like crystal clear. Like you could write it down and they can see it and they could talk about it and you could feel it and you could believe it. It's the same thing I'm trying to do. I'm still trying to get better at this with my fishing theme park, and I can see their eyes light up because they asked me about my vision. I'm talking about this fishing theme park, what we're going to have, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but like, oh no, you will. Just keep that vision super clear. Keep talking about it. Keep reiterating it to your loved ones and your friends, and to pray on it. Like, keep that vision at the very front and center, because so many times when we lose our way in life or in business or anything, it's because we've lost our vision. And even in marriage, right? If our vision day one was to have this amazing marriage, go on date nights, and all of a sudden we get caught in the weeds and all the day-to-day stuff, and we forget that vision, it's really easy to get off the path or off course, right? So much is about that vision. It's so critical, as these guys kept telling me over and over again, is even when you have those crappy days, and they all do, you can only imagine having like 800 employees. Like, you can imagine how many times they get pulled down and sucked down to the weeds and lawyer stuff and all kinds of distractions. And like, you have to constantly pull your head out of that stuff and look at the vision and remind yourself what you're doing and where you're going. It is so easy to get off course if you don't. And I thought that was just so critical. I mean, it ties in with what I talked about fishing for happiness, is that mission and purpose, right? Have a written down mission/vision, know exactly where you're going, what you're doing, who you're going to impact. And it does not. If those of you saying, well, gosh, this doesn't apply to me. Oh, yes, it does. I'm not talking about starting $1 billion company. I'm talking about, it could be as simple as keeping your family together and raising 3 amazing boys, or whatever you happen to have, right? It could literally be as simple as just impacting and changing the life of one person who you know is going to impact many others. It does not have to be this big global thing that you're going to create a brand or do something just monumental. It could be something so small, yet makes such a massive impact in the grand scheme of things, right? I mean, even just look at my grandfather and my dad, right? Just instilling that love of fishing us. That was part of their vision, right? Is we're going to have a family of fishermen, never knowing that my brother Luke and I would now be reaching millions of people a year through Salt Strong, all because they instilled that love of fishing in our lives. I am 100% certain we would not be doing this, right? We never would have sold our old company to start a fishing company if they hadn't instilled the love of fishing in our lives at a young age. So it could literally be as simple or as small as that, is, hey, I'm going to make sure all my grandkids have at least experienced fishing or going to church, or whatever it happens to be really important to you and that you feel you're called to do. So the first this is that vision, knowing where you're going. And yes, the vision can change. All of their visions have changed over time. They're slightly evolved, if you will. But many of them were like visions for a milestone, if you will, of a goal, right? And then they got there and said, all right, now I'm going to expand this vision and think, what's next? Like, what can I be doing next to make a massive impact? And so the next this, and this is what a lot of us miss, right? So many of us are good at writing down goals. So many of us start our New Year's with some type of resolution or resolutions. And yet they say the vast majority, 78% or whatever, of people who start a New Year's resolution never finish it, never even get close to finishing it. And by the end of the year, most people can't even remember what it was that they resolved to do. So here is the problem. It's a lack of action. So the second this is taking action, taking steps every single day. And this is what's interesting. And I think so many of us, including yours truly, we try to do the right things, right? And we go to church and we listen to Unchurched podcasts like you're doing right now, and we make these steps which are in the right direction, right? And we're doing what we believe is great in God's sight. But so many of us sit there and then wait. We wait for God to do what he's supposed to do, right? We wait for God. Well, gosh, I did this. Well, I read this book, or I went to college and got my degree, but now what? Now I don't have a job, right? And a lot of times we sit there kind of dormant after we've done the vision part of stuff. We've made the dream. Maybe we made some pretty big commitments. Maybe even we accomplished them. And then we just kind of stop and we wait. But every one of these CEOs that I met, there's no waiting around. These guys, and I'm not talking about they like only one of them had like that, just that wild energy where he probably sleeps 2 hours a night, but the rest of them were, normal people that didn't look like they had any more energy than me and you, and probably needed just as much coffee as I do every morning. But you could tell they took action every day towards their vision. They were not waiting on anyone's permission to say, okay, it's time for you to try this. That was what was interesting, is they were literally not waiting on anyone for anything, especially no one to give them permission. They took action. And one of the gentlemen we talked about God, and he's like, you know what? He goes, I believe God's favor only comes from action. God rewards those who are taking steps, not those who are lazy. And there are many, many quotes in the Bible, many proverbs in the Bible about what happens to lazy people and people who sleep all day and people who don't toil the soil, right? I mean, it doesn't take rocket science. If God gives you something, if he gives you land to be a farmer, you can't just sit there and say, all right, cool, got this land, got some seeds, got an ox, hope it works. No, you go out there and you start planting the seeds. You start taking action, even if there's small steps every single day. Even if it's tough to see yourself hitting that big vision right now, you must take steps. You must take action every single day to get there. And that was really eye-opening to me, because I'm guilty of that. I'm so guilty of it. We got these big plans, and sometimes like, well, gosh, man, God, I did this, and I went to church and I donated this money, and I have my vision, and how come this isn't easier, right? And that was such a reminder that I got to keep taking steps. And sometimes they will be easy steps. Sometimes they're absolutely not going to be fun. They are going to be tough. They are going to push you to the limit. And that's also where you grow. And so vision plus action equals anything you want in life. And once again, I want to preface this. Anything you want in life does not mean, hey, I want to be a billionaire. Anything you want in life, I'm talking about your purpose. I use the billionaire analogy because I just happen to hang out with them, and I did learn. I mean, these are people who are doing a lot, and they're not money hungry people. They're not sitting there just like, oh man, it's so cool to be a billionaire. They're literally, it's interesting how their mindset has changed once they've hit that, kind of their big vision is, all right, now how do I start giving this stuff away? Now how do I start making a massive, massive impact for as many people as possible? And I just thought that was so cool that God's favor, something that I pray over myself and my family and our employees every single morning. I pray over that. I write down that God, just flood us with your favor. It comes from action. It's only going to come from action. God is going to enhance and give you more when he sees you doing more with the stuff he's giving you, right? It's the same with money. A lot of people think, oh gosh, I'll give when. And all of these guys I met, they were giving even when they didn't have money, right? It wasn't like, oh, as soon as I become a billionaire or a millionaire or whatever it is, then I'm going to give some money to the church or the needy, whoever it is. No, they were giving the whole time. God sees what you're doing and starts rewarding you with, regardless if it's money or if it's something in business or something you're doing with your kids or your family or your church or school, whatever it is. God is rewarding those who are taking action, who are taking steps, and who are the opposite of being lazy and sitting on your butt. Pardon my French and unchurched here, and just hoping and praying that good things are going to come. There is a massive power of prayer. I wear a little bracelet on my left wrist here, right next to my watch. I'm staring at it right now, and it says "Pray without ceasing." I anytime I'm having issues, I pray, but you also have to follow it up with action. And I think that's something that so many of us miss. We just pray and think, oh gosh, I prayed the prayer, I prayed it twice, prayed it 15 times. How come nothing's happening? You got to take that step. Even if it's the wrong step. Every one of these guys that I met, every one of them had failed. Like, that was also kind of interesting that every one of them had that like massive failure story, not just like kind of a failure. Like the guy who just sold the company for $2.2 billion, his very first company failed, like as in bankrupt, zero, nothing. And he could have sat there and just been, you know what, man, this stinks. I'm just going to go back and get a corporate job and just kind of sulk in my misery. No, he prayed on it. He did. He says, man, I prayed like crazy. And he's like, I knew I was supposed to be an entrepreneur. I knew I was going to make an impact, and I knew I was going to learn from that. And I built a new vision, and I started taking massive action every day to hit it. That was it. He's like, big vision, very clear vision, massive action. That's it. And once again, this is not just for billionaires and millionaires. It doesn't have to do with the money. Take money out of it. You could be just a good person. It could be just me closer to God. You got to have a vision if you want to be closer to God. You got to have a vision if you want to be closer to your spouse. And then you got to take action on it. You know, my C12 group, it seems like every month, including yours truly, you know, we talk about our vision with our spouses. It's all men in this group. And we talk about our vision with our spouses. And every month we're like, all right, we got to date our wives more. And it's good. We're all kind of holding each other accountable. And I have been, including this nice Bahamas trip that I reminded her about. But no, I've been dating my wife more than ever, really this year, and really even last year. With the COVID thing actually kind of helped us out. Fortunately, we have parents nearby, and our next door neighbor is a young gal who loves babysitting our kids, and it's made it easy, even just for a quick little Thursday night, just go grab a bite to eat, just to get away. You know, especially for women, I could care less about dressing up. My wife loves it, but it makes her day. Like, something comes alive in her when she gets to dress up even a little bit, even go to a pizza place, but just gets to get out of the clothes she's wearing around the house and get out and feel like a new person and not have the kids around and just chat with the two of us. It's something special. And that, once again, that goes back to me having a vision of having the best marriage ever, being the closest ever with my wife, Lauren, and then taking action. I can't just say I want to have a great marriage. You got to take some action. You got to do something. So, all right, you know what? Every Thursday's going to be date night. Every Friday, we're going to do something, even if it's just moving a popcorn at the house. That only costs, you know what, $1.25 for a bag of popcorn there at Publix, right? But you got to take some action. So I hope this was powerful. I hope it helped. I truly believe this can apply to anything in life. And that, once again, I hope that you can take the money thing out of it. I use that example just because I happen to be around all these wealthy people. And it was so unique that was kind of their success. That this is their strategy is, all right, create a clear vision. Doesn't even have to be that big, right? I think you should go big, but just a very, very clear vision, and then take action one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Even though it might look daunting, because it is one step at a time. Vision plus action. God's favor comes from action. He rewards those taking steps, not those who are lazy. So what are you waiting for? Today is the day. Get a clear vision of where you're going. over the next year, over the next month, if you will. But even the next year is a great place to start. Then a 3-year, 5-year, 10-year vision, and then start taking action to make it happen. And if you have questions, I'd love to hear from you. This is something that I get excited about, and it is something that I struggle with as well. I'm pretty good at the vision part, and then the action part. Sometimes we all do, right? We procrastinate and we're like, oh, it'll happen. And if I do just enough, it'll hopefully happen and everything will fall into place. No, take the steps. Don't wait for anyone's permission. Start making it happen today. You guys hopefully know my email. If you are a long-time listener, joe@saltstrong.com. That's joe@saltstrong.com. I'd love to hear from you with any questions, any recommendations, anything I might have missed. I'm sure I did. On this podcast, and any other topics you want me to cover, or anything you're struggling with the whole vision and the mission. And if you are, buy a copy of Fishing for Happiness. That's my book that I spent years writing that really outlines how I found my mission and vision in life, and how you can do it too. So many people have read it and have gotten a clear vision and mission because of that. So that's at Amazon. That's Fishing for Happiness. Otherwise, I will talk to you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was pain.